Welcome to the next installment in the To the Top College webinar. We're going to be talking about Baylor University with Nate Hutcherson, who's both a Baylor alum and an employee and expert on everything Baylor.
Well, hello, everyone. It's nice to be with you all today. My name's Nate Hutcherson, and I am both an alum of Baylor University as well as a current staff member with the Global Gateway program at Baylor University. And so I'm going to tell you more about Baylor overall, as well as our Global Gateway program, which is a pathway program into full-time study at Baylor. And so first, I just want to give you a little picture of Baylor University. And so you can see that Baylor is a beautiful campus. It's one of the many reasons that I've heard over the years students come to Baylor is the beautiful campus that you get to study on, as well as the various buildings on campus are state-of-the-art. For instance, our Baylor Science Building offers great research facilities that our faculty are doing world-changing research within this very building. Another great aspect of Baylor is that the faculty that we have on campus, the faculty and staff, are all eager to get to know students. I think it's one of the things that really drew me to Baylor as an undergraduate student was the small class size where I would get to know students, or students would get to know faculty. And I had that experience where I really got to know my faculty on a personal level and get to go and talk with professors in their offices. You know, at a lot of institutions, you might just be one in the crowd, but at Baylor, you really are seen and known and valued for who you are. And so that's a great part of Baylor and being at Baylor. Another great aspect of being a part of Baylor and being a part of the Baylor family is not only growing as an individual student and in your academics, but also developing who you are and who you'll become, being prepared for your career ahead, being prepared for the citizen you'll be in society and the person that you might be in your family. And so a big part of being a Baylor student is also developing your social, relational person and becoming a whole person. And so that really was a big part of my Baylor journey, was figuring out who am I and what am I passionate about and who is it that I want to be in the world. And so that being at Baylor helped me do that. And so that's part of the Baylor experience, is who you will become, going above and beyond. And I want to introduce you to our team. So right here you can see me on the right side of your screen, and then I work with a team of other amazing colleagues. So here you see me again, and then our director of the Global Gateway program is Dr. Cornell Menking, and then we have Ms. Kelsey Nestle, and Dr. Menking is the director of our program, and then Kelsey, Ms. Meredith Moore, and I are the student success managers. And so our whole job is to help make sure that the students in our program are successful. We want international students to come in, be a part of the Baylor family and be part of the Baylor community and be successful academically, to support you in your transition into university studies, as well as ensure that you are prepared and ready for full-time study at Baylor University. You can see in the top of our screen, this is just some of our students from a party and an event that we had earlier in the year to celebrate the end of the school year. And that's another aspect of being a part of our program, is building community, finding friendships, and doing that all together. And that's part of the role that our team plays, is helping you find a place where you belong and being successful in your studies. So I'd like to take just a minute. We love getting to know who you are. And if you'd like to hear more from us or get more information later on, feel free to fill out this survey, you can use the QR code, and we'd love to connect with you. So Baylor University is in the heart of Texas, and Waco, Texas is where I call home, and as well as so many of our international students come from all over the world to Waco. And Waco is centered right in between Dallas and Austin, about 90 miles in between each. And in Waco, you'll find a small community that feels like home, but also all of the amenities of a larger city. And so the perk is that because we're located in between Dallas and Austin, which are large metroplexes, you can also find many amenities and shopping events that we host, and we take students to both of these locations as well as Houston at times to go shopping, to go to cultural events, in things that you might not find in Waco, you can find in Austin, Dallas, and Houston. So why Baylor? Baylor is one of the best colleges according to the U.S. News, World and Report, currently ranked number 78. And there's so many schools in the United States, over 1,800 schools, and Baylor is in the top 100, and that is in big part to our amazing faculty who are doing really good research, but also in part to the rigor that our school offers. And it offers a great education that's world renowned, and students who are of high caliber. And so we would love for you all to join us to be a part of these high rankings, great rigor happening on campus. So a few other things about Baylor in that nationally ranked programs is that we have some of the top programs in clinical psychology is #1 in the US, entrepreneurship is #6, and our accounting pass rate, our accounting program is really great. And our accounting program has 100% placement into accounting firms, and it's #6 in passing that accounting examinations. So we have lots of different majors at Baylor University, and because we are a private school, we even offer some majors that you won't find at other universities. And so that's a real perk of being at Baylor. Top tier research, our faculty are partnering with students to do research that is cutting edge, that is helping people around the world in the areas of health, business and entrepreneurship. And so the top tier research is a big focus of Baylor University, but it's always in partnership with students like yourself. Our class size is one of the best parts of being at Baylor, and this is the reason that faculty get to know the students who are on campus. We have small class sizes. At other universities, you might find a lecture hall of 300 students, but at Baylor, our average class size is 26. And our student to faculty ratio is 14:1. And what that really means is you're going to find faculty who get to know you, who are available to you, who welcome you to come to their office hours. And so this small class size and small student faculty ratio is really important, and is something that we at Baylor are committed to making sure that you are seen and known. Like I mentioned earlier, the high levels of research that we have at Baylor is really impressive and is growing. A recent research that happened is in two of our faculty, along with some students, developed an iPhone app where you can hold that app up to a child's eye and notice if there are any diseases of the eye. And this is all current and groundbreaking research and development that's happening right here on our campus. Baylor is also committed to growing and becoming a tier 1 research institution, much like other big name state schools across the nation. And so it's an exciting time at Baylor because we are really focusing our research efforts to become even more highly ranked and reputable, as well as offering that rigorous academic education. So the science building, like I mentioned earlier, we have so many um, facilities around campus, research buildings that are offering the cutting edge of technology. And it's in a building like the science building, not only is there cutting edge research and technology, but that's the offices where you will meet with faculty, the classrooms where you will develop relationships with other students and faculty. And so the campus, again, was one of the things that drew me to Baylor because it was so beautiful, as well as I could tell that the university invested into things like this. They invested into having great technology, having not just functional buildings, but buildings where we could develop community. Another building is the Paul L. Foster Campus for Business and Innovation. This is a new facility on campus built in the last 4 years. And it was actually in this building I was sitting where I decided to return to Baylor to do my graduate work. And so I'm both an undergrad alumni, a graduate master's student at Baylor. And it was in this building because of the great innovation that's happening. It's an inspiring building to be in because of all the collaboration that happens. And Baylor is really, that's an important part of the Baylor experience, is collaboration with your fellow students. That we want to build community and help you learn how to function in team, how to do collaborative work, because that's what the work environment will be like when you enter into the workforce, is collaboration and teamwork. And so that's a great aspect of the business school and many other departments and academic units around campus, is collaboration and learning to work together to achieve great things. So the dining halls on campus, you've maybe seen a picture of this if you've ever researched Baylor, but one of our dining halls on campus is called Brooks College. It's actually based off of, to look like the Harry Potter dining hall, if you've ever heard or read the movie, or read the book or watched the movies. This dining hall is really based off of the look of the Great Hall. And our dining facilities on campus are top notch. You can find all sorts of cuisine in our 5 different dining halls on campus. We also offer restaurants in our student union building and other places around campus. So we always have students come back and say the food is really good, surprising. You know, when you think of dorm food, maybe you don't think of top-notch cuisine, but our facilities offer some great dining options, a lot of variety. Even earlier this year, our dining staff helped celebrate the Chinese New Year with an inspired menu of all sorts of different Chinese cuisine. It was really exciting and fun to be there with our students to celebrate Chinese New Year together. So I also want to highlight all of the different extracurricular organizations that we have. Not only do you come to Baylor to become a great academic student and to develop your knowledge and understanding, but we also want you to come to Baylor to experience your social growing and building friendships and getting involved in other areas of service that are important to you. And so we have over 330 student organizations that are based in service and social growth and getting to know people. And I always tell students, if you have a passion, you will find a club to match. If you have an interest or a hobby, you'll be able to find other people who share that same hobby. And so getting involved in these student organizations is really a great part of the Baylor experience. We also have amazing athletics. If you follow college sports at all, you'll know that Baylor has been in the top tier of college sports this past season. Our men's and women's basketball teams were ranked number 1 or number 2 just about the whole season, as well as our football teams went on to play in the uh, Big 12 Conference Championship. Across all of our sports, our D1 athletics, we have top-ranked athletic programs, both for men and women's sports. And so if you're interested and you like watching sports, Baylor is a great place to be right now because of how highly ranked and great our teams are performing. This is just another picture of our sports on college game day. McLean Stadium is where the Baylor Bear football team plays. You can see a packed audience here. This is a new stadium, and again, it's just a picture of how Baylor is committed to investing in to facilities that provide a great experience, create community, as well as bring us all together as the Baylor family to see great teams playing, and students, faculty, staff, and alumni all coming together. You know, a big part of being at a university is coming together, building friendships. And so I've talked a lot about the Baylor family. And I don't use that phrase lightly because that really is one of the desires of the Baylor community, is that you would enter into being a part of the Baylor family. And Baylor current students, faculty, staff, and alumni or former students are all part of the Baylor family. And the Baylor line is your entrance into the Baylor family. I don't know of any other institution around the country that has this experience and this opportunity for first year students like the Baylor line. As you can see here, the Baylor line is all wearing these yellow jerseys, welcoming in the football team. The Baylor line gets to have an upfront experience on Baylor football days, as well as throughout the year. The Baylor line is a really important tradition and part of the Baylor experience. Another great tradition that happens in every university across the United States is homecoming. And homecoming is the time where the Baylor family returns to campus, former students coming back to reunite with friends, but also so that the generations of Baylor alumni and current students get to reconnect and celebrate the Baylor spirit. And so every homecoming, each fall, we have a big parade that happens all throughout Waco. This is downtown Waco that you see here in this picture. And this parade culminates and ends on Baylor's campus, where the entire Baylor family is and has a big celebration. And so homecoming is a really special tradition at Baylor. And the parade is actually the longest homecoming parade in the United States. So that's kind of a cool fact. So I want to talk with you, continue to talk with you about the Baylor family. Every alumni or former student who's come to Waco has been a part of the Baylor family. Goes off from Waco. Some people stay in Waco like I did, but so many of our alumni and students go globally to begin their work and investing in the world. Part of Baylor's mission is developing leaders for a global impact. And so we have students that come from all over the world to go to Baylor, and then they return back to the global community. But we're always connected. The Baylor Network, you can find people all over the world who've gone to Baylor, have been impacted by their time there, and are now serving all around the world in so many different industries. And so the Baylor Network is really strong. And it's one of the intangible but important qualities of being a part of the your Baylor experience is the connections that you'll have all around the world. So a big part of that network is having career advancing opportunities. And so Baylor is committed to helping all of their graduates find places in the industry that their major, their degree program is focused in, as well as giving opportunities while you're on campus to meet with professionals in a variety of industries to help you find that first position out of university. So the career and professional development that we have, there's over 1,000 internships through our Career Center. We have hundreds of employees that come to recruit for their companies. And we have thousands of job interviews even happening on campus. Our pre-med placement is 71% of pre-med students are admitted to med school. And then we have a really high acceptance rate into law school if either of those two industries are important to you. So the professional development and the career placement is a great aspect of your Baylor experience, because we're not just preparing you to be a student while you're at Baylor, we're preparing you to be an excellent worker in whatever industry you want to enter into. Here you can see just all of the different industries that Baylor alumni are working and have worked. Some of these companies are the ones who will come to campus for those interviews and internships, but it's also where you'll find the Baylor network and the Baylor family working today. And so if you're interested in these companies, there are Baylor students, Baylor alumni who are now working in these companies that you could connect with. So now I want to transition. I've talked with you a lot about Baylor overall, and now I want to talk with you about Baylor's Pathway program. And so at Baylor, we call it the Global Gateway Program. And a pathway program in general is an entrance into full-time study at university. At Baylor, we have certain English language testing requirements and test scores. And so students who are academically ready for Baylor but need some additional support in the area of academic English readiness, the Pathway program at Baylor is an ideal setup for you. And so you can see here a lot of our students and different activities and events that we have going on around campus to celebrate different cultural festivals you can see here. So this summer and this fall, because of COVID-19, we are offering some special opportunities to meet the needs of our students. And so this summer, we're offering our Global Gateway program through an online method, an online delivery. And then in the fall, we'll be offering our program both online and face-to-face. So we recognize that some students, because of embassy closings and consulate closings, that there's going to be a backlog of visa interviews. And so that's why we're offering these online deliveries, is so that all students who have applied and are admitted into Baylor and into our program have the opportunity to begin their studies right away. So to give you a little bit of an insight into our program, our Pathway program is anywhere from a 1 to 3 semester program, depending on your English language needs and readiness. So each program is about a 4-month program. The 1 semester obviously is a 1 semester, 4 months, all the way to 3 semesters. And depending on your readiness and your English language testing scores, you'll be placed into either our 1, 2, or 3 semester program. These all prepare you to fully matriculate or fully transition into full-time degree-seeking status at Baylor. And so the goal is to help you be ready for the academic rigor of Baylor coursework, And we've already had over 50 students transition into full-time study at Baylor, and they're doing really well. So again, here you can see a little bit more specific detail about the courses that you'll take while in the program. And so we have, at the IY3 semester, you have more English language coursework, and then you have a transition class that you can see here, GBL 1105. At every level of our program, you take both what we call English for academic purposes courses, that's your English classes, and then Baylor credit-bearing classes. So that's a great part of being in this program, is that you're earning Baylor credit from the very first day you step foot in class on campus or online. And so we want you to step into that full-time study at Baylor with already having credits underneath your belt and ready for full-time study. And you can see at each level, the number of English classes decreases while the number of Baylor classes increases. And these Baylor classes are specifically geared toward our international students to help you transition into full-time study. Whoops. So here is what an online delivery will look like over the summer and the fall. This is just an example of what it might look like. So for instance, here in Waco from 8 to 10 a.m. each morning, our instructors are offering office hours. This is the time where you get to engage with your faculty on an individual basis through online video calls, much like this. And this is approximately 9 to 11 p.m. in China for those that are in the mainland. And so this is a great opportunity to build connections with professors, even while having online coursework. As you can see, there's these other different classes happening at different times throughout the day. And so we've built this schedule just as an example of how you might structure your time when taking classes online. I want to tell you a little bit about our current GGP students. So we've had 155 students to date, 50 matriculated, meaning 50 are now studying and full-time at Baylor. Have 105 currently in our program. Our first cohort was 23 students, so we've obviously grown a lot over the past year. Many of our students have studied in U.S. high schools. A lot of you might be studying in U.S. high schools right now. And so this pathway program is still a great way for you to transition from your U.S. high school into a full-time status and full-time study at Baylor. The pathway program is a great transition year for you. So all of our students meet all of the Baylor entry requirements. They are academically ready, and they're treated like any other international student on campus. All of our students have access to all of the Baylor resources, from housing, dining, tutoring, an amazing workout facility on campus. And when you're in the Global Gateway program, you are fully a Baylor student and have access to all of those amenities. We also recruit direct admit students. This means students who aren't in the GGP program, but who have that English language score and are ready for full-time degree seeking at Baylor. In your last semester of the program, you work with our university advisement to be advised and recommended classes for your degree. And so this is a great connection between our program and other offices on campus. We work together to make sure you are successful. Here's a look at all of the majors that our current students are intending to major in. You can see that a lot of our students major in business because it's one of the best business programs in the country. We also have a lot of other sciences, computer science, economics, education, so many varieties of majors that you can participate in and work toward while you're at Baylor. Some popular majors out of those 141 majors that a lot of our students are majoring in is the physical sciences, mathematics, business, lots of different choices, even more than this list shows. These are just some of the top choices. Music and theater, health and human sciences, education, and many of our students major in engineering and computer science. I want to take a second to highlight our GGP faculty. These faculty are the top notch in their field of English language learning and teaching English to non-native speakers. Almost all of our faculty speak at least 2 languages and have taught internationally around the world in many different places, from China to South America. And so we have an amazing faculty who are dedicated to the Global Gateway program and to helping all of our students succeed and be prepared for full-time degree seeking at Baylor. Some really great opportunities and resources for students in our program is the International Student Academic Support. So the Global Gateway program, we've recognized that that a lot of our students need academic support. Actually, every student at Baylor needs academic support. And so we want to make that easy for international students to have the support that they need. And so we've developed this international student academic support as a resource for international students to get specific help when there's vocabulary in a class that's not quite translating, or you need specific help understanding instructions from a certain professor. This office is there to help you get all of the support that you need. We have a great tutoring center from both other students offering tutoring as well as professional staff offering tutoring. In the Global Gateway program, we have certain courses like recitation or developing strategic skills that help you develop the skills necessary, like time management and how to prepare as a college student to be successful. Obviously, offering office hours, our faculty do that. And then, like I said earlier, there's so many clubs and organizations, opportunities to volunteer and to serve the community around you here in Waco. These are great ways for students to be successful and to get involved. And myself and my colleagues, the other student success managers, our number one job is to make sure that you as a student are successful and are prepared. And what I do is I meet with students throughout the week, one-on-one or in small groups, to talk about your classes, to make sure that you are understanding your assignments, to talk about life and how you're transitioning to the university, what's going on in your residence hall or your dorm room, how are you getting along with your roommate. And so that one-on-one conversation and coaching is a great way for students to talk about where they're struggling or to share what they're wanting to learn or how they're wanting to grow and develop. And so I think that the opportunity for you to be a part of this program and is great because of the resources that are available to you during your time at Baylor. Also, the housing and dining facilities on campus, I've talked a little bit about those. All students at Baylor are required to live on campus and eat in the dining halls for their first year, but this is a great opportunity for students because our housing and dining facilities are top-notch. You can see the different room styles that are available to students. You can find out more by searching Baylor's website, but want you to know that even though it is a requirement to live on campus, you have a great setup during your first year at Baylor. And you can obviously live on campus beyond your first year, but you're invited to live on during that first year. So some important dates to know about for the Pathway program. an application is July 6th, confirmation is July 17th, and we start classes on August 24th of this year. And then direct admit have a slightly different application and confirmation deadlines, but that same start date. So if you have questions, you can contact us at the Global Gateway at baylor.edu, our phone number, and our website. We encourage you to look at this to find out more about our website. And now I'll open it up to some Q&A and let Kieran lead that out and facilitate for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully you can hear me. I am muted. That was really great. Thank you so much, Nate. I knew a little bit about Baylor, but now I feel like I know a whole lot more. And the Gateway program does sound amazing. I do want to reiterate that if you're not familiar with Baylor, it does have a very strong reputation, both as an undergraduate college and as a research university. They produce, I completed my PhD program in English. If something comes out of Baylor, we do. I fully believe that they will be able to reach the top tier of research universities, which is R1, which is their goal. We do have a question in the chat, so if anyone else has a question, please feel free to. You can unmute and ask it. You could also just simply type it in the chat. We do have one. I think you might have addressed it, but there might be more to say. Essentially, what measures does Baylor have in place to help international students in particular, get here in the fall? Is there anything beyond these online classes, or is there anything, maybe anything else to say about these online classes and the support people are getting during the coronavirus?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. And so what I would first say is that international students are going to be welcomed on campus at Baylor in the fall. We will have both face-to-face and online coursework for international students in the fall. And the reason that we're offering online is, like I said earlier, we recognize that there are going to be some international students who cannot make it to campus because of a delay in visa interviews or travel restrictions. Because of the unknown surrounding the coronavirus at this point, we want to be ready to offer that online instruction. But international students who are able to attain their visas will be welcome to campus and will find that they have everything that they need and the support that is normal and of high caliber here at Baylor. So the resources that will be available to international students on campus will be the same that they always are. And as we develop our online coursework, we're already doing online delivery right now. We're meeting with students weekly, and I have student meetings later this afternoon where I'm having these video conferences just like this to talk individually with students about how they're doing in their classes, how they're managing their time, what assignments do they need to be working on earlier in the week to make sure that they hit the necessary submission deadlines. Additionally, we're working on creating social programming. We recognize that part of the Baylor experience when you're on campus is having those social and relational opportunities to get to know one another. We're also developing these social programs and opportunities to happen virtually. And so we want to both help make sure that you're successful academically, as well as you are developing those social friendships and that you're not feeling isolated in your study even while it's happening online.
Great, thank you. And just to clarify, these online courses are a response to COVID-19. They're not, they didn't exist previously, or were they already around, but now they're open to everyone.
Baylor's been offering online coursework for the past few years, and that's on a smaller basis. Right now, just as across the nation, people have gone to online delivery is a response to COVID-19. And what we plan, at least for right now, even as we're developing online platforms and opportunities for the future, our online coursework for the Global Gateway program for the summer and the fall is a response to COVID-19. We hope to, for the time being, go back to a fully face-to-face program because we realize that is best practice for English language learning. So we expect to go back to a full face-to-face program in spring 2021.
Great, thanks. So we do have a question about fees and tuition, and also about the U.S. News ranking. I believe the U.S. News and World Report ranking the regular of degree granting universities in the U.S. is number 78. But could you elaborate a little bit on the fees and tuition, or maybe the difference between them for direct entry and the pathway program?
Sure, great question. So the fees, I'll talk first about direct admit for Baylor. When you enter in as a direct admit student at Baylor University, you pay all of your tuition, room and board, meaning housing and dining, student fees directly to Baylor University. Currently, our tuition for this academic year, 2019 to 2020, tuition was around 42,000, and then there's additional housing and dining fees in there. Baylor for direct admit students offers amazing scholarship packages, both merit and financial need based. And so as you work with the international admissions team as well as our domestic admissions team, you'll find that they really work with students to provide creative and financial assistance so that students who are ready to study at Baylor and who have a desire to study at Baylor, we want to do our best to provide for students. And then for our Global Gateway program, it's a joint partnership between Baylor University and an education company called Study Group. And so when you're part of the Global Gateway program, you pay your tuition to Study Group and all of the other housing, dining, student, and insurance fees directly to Baylor. And it is in direct partnership with one another. And so the tuition remains the same with Study Group. Excuse me, in the 1 semester and 2 semester programs. If you start in the 3 semester program, it's actually a lower tuition rate because you're being offered a more intensive English program. And so we recognize that you're not taking as many Baylor courses, and so the tuition is slightly lower during that initial 3 semester program. And in the when you're in the Global Gateway program, I'll also say that Study Group does also offer scholarships, and those are more based on region as well as merit.
Great, thanks. We have a kind of follow-up question to that. So, well, a couple things. The first would be, you showed the example schedule there. For people in China, which is a 13-hour difference, how is the time difference accounted for with the online classes?
Right. So across the institution right now, some classes are happening what we call synchronously, meaning at a certain time, and other classes are being offered what we call asynchronously, meaning on your own time. Our Global Gateway program, we are offering all of our classes asynchronously, meaning you'll take it in your own time at your own schedule. What we're recommending to our students, however, is that you set a schedule and keep a consistent routine. But our classes are offered asynchronously, and we'll be working with the institution over the summer and in the fall for students who are taking Baylor credit-bearing classes that we'll do our best to get students situated into courses and sections where those classes will happen asynchronously.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that does help clarify. So those office hours, if people would like to speak with their instructors, are they're at night, but they're not in the middle of the night for people in China.
Right. We've tried to set up that schedule for the time differences so that it's the best possible time for all students and faculty. The rest of that schedule was just an example of how you might fit a schedule into your normal day-to-day.
Thanks. That makes sense. Okay, so a few clarification points on the Gateway program itself. How long would it take for someone to get their bachelor's degree? Would it still be 4 years on average? And then the other question, which I think can be addressed by looking at the website, is what are the language requirements? So can you still graduate in 4 years, and what are the entry language requirements for the program?
Yeah, let me back up real quick. I'm going to go to a previous slide. Hopefully I don't make anyone dizzy while doing this. So the first thing I'll say is that our program sets students up to be prepared for the rigorous study at Baylor and to enter into full-time study with those some Baylor credits already achieved and earned, which does help students work toward a 4-year graduation rate. I will say in some cases, because of differing degree program requirements, it's going to take different students a different amount of time because of the different courses, and sometimes in universities you have to take one class before you can take the next, and the course offerings can determine a student's progression rate and graduation timeline. And so a student that starts or takes a 1-semester program obviously is going to have move into full-time study at Baylor more quickly than a student in the 3-semester program. And so the best I can say is that once you enter into full-time study at Baylor, graduating within 3 to 4 or 3 to 5 years is very achievable, but based off of when you start and how the length of your pathway program will determine the length of your overall experience at Baylor. And then obviously you can see on the screen the various entry requirements. For the 1-semester program, it's a TOEFL of 70, IELTS of 6.0. IY2, the 2-semester, is a TOEFL of 60, IELTS 5.5, and then the 3-semester TOEFL of 50, IELTS 5.0. A direct entry into Baylor is a TOEFL of 80 and an IELTS of 6.5. I'll also point out that we have pretty strict requirements or progression requirements in our program. The reason for this is that we want to ensure that every student who moves forward into our program and into Baylor University is fully prepared. And so the support that we offer is to help make sure students hit their progression requirements because we want students to both be successful in the program as well as successful when they matriculate into Baylor.
Great, thank you. That makes sense. So are there requirements such as high school GPA or SAT, ACT beyond the TOEFL requirements here?
So for international students that offer an English placement score, there is not a required secondary test. Direct admit students can take that test and submit it for additional material in their scholarship package or to receive scholarship. For our Global Gateway students, an SAT score is not required, or another ACT, those different scores are not required. We accept a few different types of testing scores or testing types from TOEFL, IELTS, Gaokao, and there's one more that escapes me at the moment. You can see what those different tests and the different levels you need on our website.
Great, thank you. Does anyone else have a question for Nate? You can say it out loud or you can put it in the chat. In the meantime, I just want to ask, so you went to you've been at Baylor for a while. Have you been there continuously since you started your undergraduate, or did you leave and come back?
I've been in Waco continuously since I started in 2009. I did my undergrad in 4 years. I majored in music education and then taught music for 3 years. Then I returned to graduate school for higher education student affairs, which is basically helping college students, supporting college students. And then after I graduated with my master's, I began working at Baylor. So I'm a Baylor guy through and through.
Well, that's great. So I asked that to say, to ask you, what are some of your personal favorite aspects of working for or attending Baylor or Waco?
Absolutely. Well, I could go on for a while, so just cut me off when I need. But I really love Baylor. The things that have attracted me to Baylor, of the community that is available, of getting to know my faculty and professors, are really some of the things that have helped me stay. I still run into professors I had my freshman year in 2009, and they know me, they ask how I'm doing, and we are able to carry on these conversations. That's so special, and it's such a unique part of being at Baylor. And I would say, additionally, for me, being at an institution, a private Christian institution, where we're all just learning, what does it mean to be a whole person? What does it mean to be intentional and purposeful in what we do? Whether you come in and you have a Christian background, or you have another religious background, or you have no religious background, there's no pressure to become a Christian, but there is a desire that all students would be purposeful, thoughtful, and take the next step in a journey to becoming a whole person, whether that's through faith or being a person of service. And so that's helped me so much and has continued to help me grow in my Christian faith, as well as becoming the man that I desire to be. So those are just a few things. I would also say of Waco in general, that Waco is a really interesting town and place to be in right now because of the great growth that's happening in our city. More and more restaurants, industries, entertainment is being developed in our city, and it's an exciting time to be here to see that growth happening.
Well, that's great. Thank you. So we have, I think, one last question from the audience is, do you happen to know what the average GPA of an accepted student to Baylor is, either to the Pathway program or more likely to the in general the incoming freshmen?
That's a great question. I don't have a great answer for that. I can work to find it out and send that on to you. Um, I would say that all of our students that are entering into Baylor University are high caliber students, are in the top tiers of their graduating class. And so the academic standards for the entering student body continue to grow. And so because graduation rates are different from a 12-point scale to a 4-point scale, I don't have an exact number at this point.
Yeah, thank you. So I was also trying to look it up just now. I'm sure it's available online, but because Baylor doesn't strictly require your GPA, it's harder to get that number.
Right. You can
Um,
check the Baylor admissions website for a lot of the various testing information, SAT score averages, as well as GPA figures.
Thank you so much, Nate. That was really helpful. If you have any questions about Baylor, how Baylor might fit into your college search, wherever you or your child or student are in the process, to the top, we offer a wide range of services to help you decide if Baylor is the place for you, or get to know basically anything related to high school or college applications process and support. So you can go to tothotopeducation.com. I'm Kieran Lyons. I'm the Director of Education Programs. I personally advise people on the colleges that are right for them and how to get their scores, GPA, materials ready to have the best, put your best foot forward when you do apply. So please do get in touch with Nate and the rest of his team there. And please do, if you haven't already, go to tothotopeducation.com and go to our contact form and give us your contact information so that you can get emails about events like this in the future. We'll be talking to other great universities who have similar and great programs, but I do want to say that being able to get into a top 100 high-level research university with as much student support as Baylor without taking the SAT is a really amazing opportunity, and I hope you consider it. If you have any other questions for us, please do go to our website and you can get in touch with us with any further questions as well. I think that's it. Thank you again, Nate. I will do a sort of digital round of applause. And I hope to hear more from you in the future.
Thank you so much. Great to be with you today.